I just discontinue from here, and I
Okay.
still don't know what happened.
So can you so one thing is when you create a cluster in AWS,
Yes.
what AWS is doing is AWS is using CloudFormation to create the cluster. Really, all the things that needs to be created, AWS is using CloudFormation behind the scenes to create it. So sometimes there is always issue with when you create the cluster where something is wrong with the underlying CloudFormation thing, but then it will give you error here. So I'm just telling you that just to know, but there is no, you don't have any concerns with the CloudFormation. But I'm just saying,
Okay.
and on behind the scenes, that's what AWS use. So sometimes if you're having issue deleting your cluster here, or maybe you don't see it, you can you can you can go to CloudFormation and and see if the cluster is there. If it's there, then delete it. So since you don't see your cluster here, the first thing I want to check is the CloudFormation. Make sure you don't have any cluster templates there. If there's any, we'll delete it and we'll come back here and create your cluster.
Good. So can you repeat this? It says create failed.
Yeah, that, so you have to delete that.
Delete it.
So just select it and click delete. Delete is right there. The first button to the left. So where you were clicking those buttons, delete is the first button next to update.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
All right. So wait for it to refresh. And
Is it from my? Oh, Aziz.
yes, I'm here.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking for my browser. Sorry.
No,
I,
you're fine.
all right. Okay, sorry. So
Okay. All right. So
I think it's
now go to your ECS again.
wow, I learned something new.
And create your cluster. So here they're asking you to enter your cluster name.
So that will be
All right. So infrastructure is AWS Fargate. You can see that the other things here are optional. And
yes,
that's really all you need to do to create your cluster.
correct. So click create S3 upload. So now I have to go to S3 to upload the environment file that we created in the previous lecture, I guess, which is just in the S3 bucket.
Yeah, so you will just have to continue with the rest of the lecture
Okay.
in whatever you need to do, right?
Okay.
So So you said you were having, you can see here, it is even telling you that it is creating your cluster. You can view it in
In
CloudFormation,
progress. Okay.
right? So um, so mainly sometimes the console may change, right? And your cluster is created. So sometimes the console may change, and if it changes, the main thing is you can also one some of the things you guys can do is you can also like look in something, because if AWS change their console, they will most likely change their documentation. So you can see like a quick tutorial. How do they you create an ECS cluster from their documentation? Because majority of the time, this is a service we both know, but at work, they may give you a service you haven't worked with before, and you have to configure it for the first time. And you also have to decide, okay, when you are setting it up, what do you see in the console, and what settings are important, what settings are not important. So I think AWS does a good job of any
Taking
settings you
that
see
document.
on the page that is not important, they will tell you it is optional. So if you see anything that is optional, it means you don't have to set it.
Oh,
Whatever you are trying to create will still work.
okay.
So that is, if you see anything that is optional for the first time, skip those. Only input your value in the things that they are requiring you to input your value in, and you take it from there, and you should be good. Um, and also, if you are unsure, then you can also reference their documentation, because they will have like a quick how to set up a service in their documentation. That's what I always do. Okay. So your cluster is created now. You just have to just continue the rest of the lecture to
Okay.
create your. And if you run into any other issue, let me know.
I will. Let me stop sharing. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Hello. Sean, are you still having that issue? Because I think I saw a message from you this morning. Was that, well, it wasn't this morning. I saw the message this morning. Was that like from a previous thing we worked on last week? Or are you able to resolve that issue we were working on with
Yeah,
your,
I was able to resolve it. It was when I had migrated into the database, it was something was issue with it, like corrupted. So I went and grabbed another database and it came right on up. So no issue. Thank you though.
okay, okay, perfect, perfect. Yeah, so we have a small group today. I just leave it open floor with to you guys if you guys have any other questions. Um, like I told them earlier that I'm still working on my Azure stuff. I'm trying to still wrap my head around. It looks easy to set up, but I'm still trying to um I'm trying to see if the way I'm creating my resources is the right way. I want to create it in a straightforward way that when we are working on it together, then it is nothing about it is confusing. Because for example, when I was creating the network thing, which is VPC in Azure, during the process of creating it, you can create a subnet that has you can add a bastion host, and when you add a bastion host, it creates a subnet, which I'm assuming is a public subnet. But then I'm trying to figure out what's the availability zone, even though I see in their documentation that it says that they have availability zones too. But I don't see anywhere to pick the availability zones when I'm creating the subnet. So I'm still trying to like figure out all those things. But I think the main thing is I want to draw a reference architecture for an Azure platform for the projects we would do there. Then build our VPC to that reference architecture. So I'm still sorting those things out. Once I'm done, we would start the project. So I really think once this is probably the most difficult part, once we figure out this part, once we complete one project in Azure, the rest is going to fall in line fairly easy. So, and I also said that the project is not something that I would do during the Saturday meetings. It will be something I'll schedule for during the week, like we did with the other projects. Okay.
Please, can I so can I I'm gonna ask you a question about something I'm thinking about doing, and can you give me, I guess,
Sure,
which one we'll go with? So
sure.
I'm thinking about building a chatbot on Amazon Lex, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to build it with Terraform, like kind of to build the infrastructure up. That's one
Mm-hmm.
project. And then compared to the next project, I was thinking about doing the project we had done before with EKS. I was thinking about just making that completely through Terraform. Which one you think would be good to add to the portfolio and better from a marketing standpoint of when you present it to an employer? Which one you think is a better project?
Between the chatbot and sorry, your audio kind of went up on my end. So
Oh,
uh
the other one is to automate our EKS project with Terraform.
okay. Yes. Um I think the EKS one with Terraform is better because so you want to make sure, even though building the chatbot is good, right? But you have to also see it from your employer standpoint, which one would be much valuable to them. Because at work, they're not really building chatbot all day, unless if you are in a specific job that requires that, like a specific job that requires that. But a lot of jobs uh, use ECS every single day. A lot of jobs use Terraform every single day. So with your ECS project and Terraform, you are also using Terraform module. A lot of jobs use that every day. So I think in presenting that project, it showcases your skills in like with almost like 4 or 5 different things. It showcases your skills with Terraform. It showcases your skills with ECS, Docker, Git, and also Terraform module. So just that one project showcase that you understand a lot of things.
So
I think, I, go
go
ahead,
ahead. I know you was finished.
go
But
ahead.
what I would say, if I wanted to, if you was looking at this project and you wanted to enhance it, and add more security features like Prometheus monitoring features and stuff, what would you do if you want to take this project to another level with security? What would you do?
It depends on what type of security I'm trying to implement because since our application don't really have any users using it, I mean we have security on it with our private subnet, but um if you are trying to add a feature to it, right? So is it because the security can be two different things. Is it the security that you are going to, is it something you will implement on the infrastructure itself, or is it something you are implementing from the application standpoint? If it is something you are implementing from the application standpoint, then you have to modify the code to be able to do that. But if it's something and one thing I would say is like security in AWS is not really specific to one application. So it will just probably be uh s- um it will just probably be security that they are implementing on the infrastructure standpoint. Things like using endpoint. So you can say, you know what, I have S3 bucket in this project. Instead of going through the internet, I just use the VPC endpoint for S3. So that way, accessing my S3 bucket is working through uh, the AWS private network, right? You can enable things like VPC flow logs, right? So there's a lot of stuff that you can implement from on the infrastructure standpoint. I really don't think doing it from the application standpoint, unless there's some applications that would require that, but majority of the time, even when we are working with stuff at work, it was something like security. The type of security stuff we're doing is they use VPC endpoint, VPC flow logs, WAFs, things like that. But you don't have to enable that in your account because those things can be very costly. And also, um, they enabled something like we enabled the security hub.
That's
So
what I was thinking, security hub.
yeah, but the security hub is just going to alert you on all the things you've created in your account that is not really meeting the requirements that, so because AWS has some standard benchmark for the security hub, has like 4 standard benchmark. So it would check whatever the state of all your resources is to those benchmark. If any of them don't meet it, then it will just report the ones that are failing. Then you'll go and remediate those resources. It might say, oh, you have an S3 bucket here that needs to be encrypted. And it's no, we found so many S3 bucket. It will give you all the name of those S3 bucket, what account they are in that is not encrypted. Then you go and remediate and encrypt. So those are the ways we are implementing security at work. You understand? So
Could you add like stuff like event bridge and stuff like that to trigger certain things to happen if
yeah.
okay.
So if you want to, you can do stuff like that. If you want to, in our ECS, that event bridge is already being used behind the scenes with how we spin up multiple containers, right? With the AWS has just made it very easy that it is built into the auto scaling group that you don't have to go and set up the event bridge yourself, right? So usually when you set up event bridge for like specific things like that, is always based on the application needs. I really understand what you are trying to do. I was exactly like that when I was learning to, but I think it's good. I don't want to discourage you from doing it. I think it is good, but also just keep in mind that make sure that whatever you are turning on in your AWS account will not cost a lot. And you also have to also decide what is the trade-off for doing those things. Do you really think it's going to add extra value to you potentially getting the job or impressing the employer or not? So
Yeah, and I want to add one more thing, and I'm gonna let you go. I'm not saying, but what I was gonna say is, I faced an interview where we were discussing one of the projects I had done, and I was nailing like all the details of the project. And then he went into a place where he started asking about cost optimization, right? Like how would I design it differently to save cost? And I kind of stumbled around in that area. So I'm looking at ways to look from a standpoint of an employer of how we could design these projects in a safe way, but also in a way that could save cost.
exactly.
So
Exactly. Exactly. So you say we cost, that's the key word, cost. Cost does not necessarily mean implementing more things, because implementing more things only would drive your cost up. Ahmed, I'll get to you just a second. So implementing more things will only drive your cost up. So you can see here, they are saying you already have this reference architecture. How do you see yourself saving cost? That is actually a perfect question. And anytime someone asks you that during the interview, some of the things you can say is you can review the reference architecture. So usually when companies are trying to do trade-off with cost, it means that they will sacrifice on some things, right? A good way you can reduce costs is in our reference architecture, we are using 2 NAT gateways, one in the first availability zone, one in the second availability zone. And we are doing that so that way, if one availability zone goes down, our resources don't go down, because the NAT gateway in the second availability zone can still route traffic, help have internet access to our resources, right? It allows our resources in the private subnet to have access to the internet, right? You can say, for this reference architecture to reduce cost, we can just remove one of the NAT gateways and route traffic and use one of the NAT gateways to allow all the private subnets to have access to the internet. But the trade-off with that is that if the availability zone we have our NAT gateway in should go down, then we are potentially going, not even potentially, our resources will not have access to the internet. So all these things, they are just trying to pick your brain and see if you understand your project and what you say. So that's what I'll say right off the bat with that, right? That's one of the ways you can reduce costs. And anytime they're also saying cost optimization, also, you guys should also always think about auto-scaling group. Another thing you can also say is auto-scaling group. For our servers, we have allocated 2 servers to start with, but we will set our auto-scaling group to scale up or down based on the traffic that is going to our site. So when we set our auto-scaling group, we will set it based on the CPU utilization. If the CPU utilization is low, it means less people are accessing our server. So we'll have our auto-scaling group scale it down. And if more people is accessing our server and we need more servers, we'll have it scaling up. So really, when they are asking for cost optimization like that, don't think about implementing more things. Think about, okay, how can I save money with the current infrastructure I have? Actually, when you go on Google and just cite cost optimization in AWS, right? There are some tools that will come up that will say these are tools you can use for cost optimization. Autoscaling group is one of those tools, right?
Okay, I'll take a look at that.
So I'll think about autoscaling group, and you can just give them 2 answers like that, and they will be fine, because really they're just picking your brain. They're just trying to get a deeper knowledge of your understanding of building the project from a reference architecture standpoint.
Yeah, because he had hit on he asked about like saving on infrastructure, and my initial response was like, well, we could use serverless, and then I think he wanted to really go towards containerization,
Exactly.
and
That is
that's kind of
also
my best stuff.
exactly. That is also another good answer, right? If we are using EC2, we can consider switching to containers, because the with the container, we don't have to have EC2s running and paying the cost of having the EC2 running. And we can use AWS Fargate, which when AWS is managing the service for you, it is typically cheaper than when you are running your own EC2 and managing your application on the EC2. That is also another good point. So these are all the things so things like RDS, right? Cost optimization. We look at the instance type we are using. For the workload we have, is this instance type an overkill, or is it just a right fit? So you can say things like, instead of having the largest instance type, we can just have the smaller instance type and have auto-scaling group on that will scale our servers up as needed. Those are the things they are looking for. So things like instance type, RDS, right? Cost optimization with RDS. What type of database engine are we using? I mean, what type of database instance type are we using? If we can scale down there, we can scale down. Do we have things like multi-AZ turned on? If not, if we do, we can remove the other multi-AZ feature. So we only have one RDS database. But then the risk, you can also tell them, when we do that, this is the risk that comes with it. But way around it is we can take periodic snapshots of our RDS instance and store them somewhere. So these are just S3, right? Cost optimization with S3. With the most important documents that we have in our S3 bucket would be in the access tier. It's been a while since I looked at the AWS access tier. But for documents we don't need, we can set up a life cycle with S3 that can move the documents we don't need to a lower tier that is much cost efficient. So those are all the things you can say.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
So, okay. Ahmed, I think you had a question, or you want to say something?
Yeah, actually, it wasn't a question. Just wanted to add to the question of adding certain features to current projects. Yeah, so when it comes to adding certain features, in terms of security, I don't think, it's good to really explore other aspects of security. Let's say like code QL, to scan the code and all these things. But sometimes it should be like an overkill from our end to do that thing, because I've been there before. We don't really need it. if we get to the organization that we're gonna be working for, they will have all these things in place. If they don't have it, they will ask you to do it. So that will be like an open. And if you do code query today, it might be something else at the place of work, right? It will end up being like, why do you have to, accrue so much, cost just to test things out? So security, let's just keep it simple, but we should just inculcate like the best practices. Like now, are you opening SSH? That's also another aspect of security. Is SSH open to anywhere, or is open to a certain fixed CIDR ranges? So once you have that kind of in place, that is security. Your VPC, is it the VPC that is not overlapping? That's another aspect of security. Your subnet, is it in a public or in a private? That's another aspect of security on the infrastructure level. So those are the things I would suggest like we focus on. And one other comment I will add is if we are thinking of exploring other sides to add to the project, it should be monitoring, right? Because monitoring would be a very important thing to do. And that will also ask, okay, how can we do monitoring that is cost optimized, right? Okay, now I recently did a project at work, and there's a monitoring called Tick Stack. So that monitoring is essentially saying we're gonna have Telegraph, which essentially is like an application that collects metrics from, let's say, a server, and it will send it to a database called InfluxDB. And all these are open source, right? And you use Grafana, which is the Tick Stack, Grafana for visualization. So you can kind of you can write it down, Tick Stack. It's a very nice project you can incorporate to this current project. And the good thing about Tick Stack is you're using one server to add 3 applications to that server, right? You'll be using one server to collect metrics. You'll be using that same server as a database, and you'll be using that same server as the Grafana for monitoring. So it's something you can add to the current project, and it will be like a perfect addition for your experience. That way you don't really do so much in terms of adding too much feature of security, getting too much cost. And to me, employers might not really value it that much as compared to monitoring. Monitoring would be, in my opinion, another aspect of security where you can monitor your servers, the behavior. If it is probably overwhelmed, you can know from the monitoring dashboard. So this is another aspect you can explore. So I'm happy to give you more information about the monitoring aspect.
Yeah, please share. I'd like to use that. Thank you.
Right. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, that's what I have as it.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I was talking on mute. That's a good point Ahmed just made. So it's really an excellent point. When you are, so rather than thinking about security, like, because a lot of the security tools that your company would even use, like Ahmed said, are not even like the AWS native tools. They are like third-party tools like Palo Alto, Grafana, what's the CrowdStrike, Zscaler, things like that, right? And most of the time, the teams are always even split up, right? So when the teams are split up, the security, if you are not on the security team, you won't be working with these tools. It's most likely the security team that will be working with them. So if you have a security job, good chance you'll be working with them. Which goes along with what Ahmed is saying, what I said earlier is the most security we've done as a platform engineer, and my job is we enabled Security Hub, and the Security Hub reports all the findings, and we just try to remediate the findings, right? Which that you can even consider is security, but is also can be considered monitoring, where AWS has this tool that monitors all your resources and tells you which ones are compliant and which ones are not. So it's kind of like both. So I definitely agree with Ahmed too that what would be much valuable to an employer, or what would help you rather, if you are trying to judge what should you do to add to your project, would be adding monitoring to it, monitoring features. I mean, we have a small one in the project, which is the CPU utilization for the auto scaling group. But yeah, so thinking about something on the monitoring standpoint, or you can also set up monitoring with your cost, you have your infrastructure up, set up monitoring and see how much your infrastructure is cost you, and what's the next step you can use to remediate that. I think all those things will sound much better to an employer. So I agree with Ahmed. Going with more towards like implementing monitoring tools, monitoring with your infrastructure as opposed to implementing tools like Grafana or any other security tool that is not part of AWS. And in your account, don't enable the WAF because I think that thing's like 20,000 or something like that. So it's very expensive. So don't you don't have to worry about those. Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any question? Okay. Thank you, Ahmed, for sharing the link. I may just share a link. Let me. It's like a YouTube video, so you guys can check it out in the chat. Okay, sir. Does anyone else have any question?
Yes, Aziz.
Yes.
It's just quick observation. Sorry, I don't mean to take you back.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
If you don't mind, I can just quickly share my screen.
Okay.
As far as this particular current project, let me see, hold on. Let me just see if I can share my screen real quick. So in my head, I'm trying to see. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so where is the cluster that I just did? Okay, so this is, let me get this out of the screen. So right now, so this is what I was referring to when I said that, sorry, my neighbor is cutting his grass in case this noise is too much, sorry.
I can't hear anything, it's fine.
So you see like this networking feature, like where we are going to see the VPC and then connect the subnet. So this is what I was referring to. So this is your own lecture, all right? Now, like you said, I know that AWS, they do change stuff every now and then. So as a result of that, now it's difficult for me to follow to get the other thing done in such a way that is going to be what you display, what you demonstrated in the video.
Okay, what is you've created the cluster, then what is the next thing you have to create?
And then the next thing right now is to please hold on. I'm trying to, this Zoom is on the way. Yes.
No, you've already created your cluster. Then
yes. So this VPC is what is missing, and I'm kind of curious how I'm going to be able to put that particular component inside the VPC if it is missing in the current updated console.
It would be when you are creating your ECS service. That's why I'm saying focus on the bigger concept of what you are doing.
Okay,
the goal was to create the cluster. You've already created the cluster. Then the job is done on this video to create your cluster.
Okay.
Then you move on to the next video of what is maybe creating your tax definition. When you get to creating your ECS service, you will probably see, I think that's where they move it to. You will see where you select your VPC there in the networking.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So the job is just to create your cluster. So that's how AWS has it now. So create your cluster there, and that's done. Don't worry about and I think that's can you what is this, the dynamic project or is this the static one?
Let me sorry, let me go. This is the dynamic one. Host a dynamic web app on AWS with Docker. So this is
yeah. So that VPC stuff, they moved it to the ECS service. You're still going to see it along while you are configuring your stuff, but your cluster is done.
Okay.
That is whatever setting you see in there, that is what AWS wants you to pick. There's no way you can find where to put VPC in it. So we've created your cluster, right? Then the next one is creating the tax definition. So you just go to that lecture, create your tax definition. Then once you create your task definition, then you go to the next lecture, create your ECS service.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Let me stop sharing.
Mhm.
Oh, have I stopped sharing already? Because I don't know.
No, you're still sharing. It's fine.
Let me see. Is there any way you can
Okay, I can
like
stop sharing them.
okay. Have I stopped now?
No,
For
no,
some
but
reason.
it's fine. It's fine. I'll stop sharing.
Oh, now I can see. Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right. So okay. Does anyone else have any question? Saudat, do you have any question? I know it's your first time. You might probably be a little bit hesitant to say something, but it's okay if you don't want to. Okay. So if you guys don't have any question, I'm just going to end today's call here. But if it's something you want to discuss privately, just message me. We can schedule a meeting and talk about whatever you want to talk about. Other,
As is,
yes.
can we talk for 1 minute offline?
Okay, sure. So, Mr. Henry,
I'm sorry, I had a question. I just had to come back to the screen.
okay.
Anybody heard of Databricks? As I was talking to this senior consultant, and he was telling me that I can do a project on Databricks analytics and use Azure and AWS to do like the CI/CD.
That's like 5 different things you have to do.
Yeah, he was telling me.
Databricks, AWS, Azure, CI/CD. Like that's like you might have to like take it. This is the first time I've heard about Databricks, but in conversations, not like anything I've worked on. I'm looking it up now, so I guess it's like his own data and AI company, Databricks. And the Azure Azure, there is Azure Databricks too. So maybe that's what that
Yeah,
person is talking about.
because he was telling me about that's a good something I can put on my portfolio. No, not right now, but like in time I'm ready to do it. But I was just wondering if anybody had anything like that they working on at work, because I see like a lot of analytics like stuff that's saying that if you have some either data link. I know I saw data link, and I know that one is AWS. I think it's called data lake or something like that.
Data lake.
Right. And then the other one is this one he was telling me about. He was like, you can set it up CI/CD where when it's continuously running the data, but you can set it up with 2 providers. So like it'll be like I said, multi-cloud, like a backup. So like if something happens with Azure, you still have like the AWS as another cloud, and you can back up the data or something like that. He was saying so. But he was just telling me, I was just wondering if anybody has done anything like that with Databricks or something similar to it.
No,
So,
I haven't. So, and it sounds like it's going to be like a multi-level learning type of project, because
yeah,
you would have to just be familiar with Databricks and also implementing it in Azure, also implementing it through CI/CD, and also making it multi-cloud. So it won't be something you like. If I was working on it, something I would do at once, it would be like a
right. Build on it.
multi-level
Yeah,
type of project.
yeah.
And also it
Because I see
sounds
the
like
instructions for Azure, but I didn't see it for AWS. So I was like, I figured probably something you had to build on it, but
yeah.
just I was just wondering.
And also is this is more of like a data analytics type of projects for if you
Yeah,
are interested in being a data analytics. So if you guys focus is really not data analytics, I wouldn't waste my time. Well, I won't call it wasting time, but I mean, I will focus more on things that are more in projects that are more in alignment with the career paths that I'm trying to go. But
yeah,
this definitely sounds more of like it says like a data analytics project.
yeah. I don't think he wanted like he
Software
would say like to do it
engineers.
itself, but like to set up the CI/CD. How would you do it?
Okay.
Because that's the part he was saying DevOps would be responsible for, setting up the CI/CD of how you
Portion
would
of it.
continuously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was
It sounds
wondering.
like a cool project. No, I haven't worked with it before. Okay. Does anyone else have any question? I know I'm meeting with Mr. Henry. Mr. Henry, are we meeting right after or
Yes, we can meet right after if you want, if you have time.
no, it's fine. I can meet right after too, since we are ending early.
I think
Okay. Saudat, I saw you rejoin. Is it because you were having audio issue or you just had to rejoin?
Sorry, I don't have a question because I've not started my project. I'm still on the first course.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, that's what we do every Saturday. Whenever you have any questions, you can reach out to me during the week, or you can also join the Saturday sessions. It's
Oh,
an open floor.
okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
All
All
right.
right.
Hey, AZ, have you have a chance to
Thank
speak
you,
with
Izzy.
the lady that works at CGI? I think you said a lady, or I'm not sure if it was a lady or not, but you said you
Did
would
I
speak to her.
send you our information? I was supposed to send you our information, right?
Yeah, I didn't get anything yet,
Oh
but you
yeah,
can send it to
yeah.
me in Slack. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll send it to you now.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't speak to her, but she just asked me to forward the link, and I sent you our LinkedIn profile. Her name is Melanie. Melanie, you can reach out to her. She's very cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, see, enjoy the weekend. See you later. Thank you for your help.
Yep. Thanks. Enjoy your new baby.
Yes, I'm trying. It's keeping me up at night. I'm trying.
Oh yeah, that'll
But
pass a while, and next thing you know, you be worried about them terrible twos. But enjoy
yeah.
it because they go
How,
fast.
how long does those sleepless night last?
Wait.
What age would you say they start sleeping longer?
It varies. It does vary. I mean, every baby's different. That's the crazy thing about it, because some babies will sleep, but most of the time it's when they start getting that food, and then like they say start eating cereal in a bottle. And every parent is different. Some parents will introduce cereal or rice cereal to the baby a little earlier. Some people won't. I'm be honest, like after a while, getting up every 2 hours, I started putting like it's a tiny bit of cereal, rice cereal, and the 6 o'clock feeding, and then they 10 o'clock feeding so they can so she can sleep better. But
Okay.
again, everybody's different. So some people they're like, no, I want to do cereal because the doctor said I have to do it. So you new parents, so you have to still
That's
make that
me.
decision.
That's me and
That's
my
where you are.
wife right now. We don't take anybody's recommendation except for what the pediatrician says.
Right, exactly. You new
My
parents,
mom is
right?
so fed up with us. She's like,
But that will soon pass. Trust me.
she's raised 7 babies, and she'll tell us something. It's like, no, our pediatrician didn't say that, and she'll get a little bit frustrated, but she understands. Yeah,
But
so
you gotta listen. Let me tell you something. You have to remember, like pediatricians, there's no shade to them. But if they don't have kids, sometimes they don't have kids. They don't understand it, and they just tell you that because they worry about you not putting the right amount because it can mess with their track. But when you already after that second baby, or not even the second baby, after about a month or two, I would say personally, like me, I didn't do it right away. I waited till she was about I think about 2 months. So it was
Okay.
like right because like they introduced the cereals a month, like 3 months, I think it is, but right around 2 months. And like I said, I would put it just a very tiny bit. I took my aunt to the advice, and they was right. A little, like I say, a little pinch, which you don't think is a lot. I mean, you not think is a lot, but it's a lot for the baby.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, and they put in a bottle, and and I was still breastfeeding too, so I would just put it like I would make the milk, and I would just take a little bit and put a pinch of it in the 6 o'clock bottle, 6 o'clock a.m. bottle, and the 10 o'clock a.m. bottle, and that will help them sleep through the night. They be hungry. That's why they get up every 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel your pains and fees. My son was up for like 45 days. Every day he was going every
Wow.
Right, exactly. But my second one, the little one now I have, she's 8 now. She and maybe because I breastfeed her more, and I don't know if it had anything to do with that, but she didn't get up every 2 hours. She got up maybe like every 3 to 4 hours. So like I said, every
Oh
baby's
wow.
different.
Yeah. My son gets up 1.5 hours to 2 hours. He doesn't miss it.
You like feed me.
He doesn't miss it. Between from 1:30, 1 hour 30 minutes to 2 hours, he'll be up somewhere in that time frame. He doesn't miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they plan it because you you sleep all throughout the day, but at nighttime you would wake up and I'll be like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
but
Like,
make sure you sleep with him. If Uncle you had to work, but if you right now still on maternity leave, when he's sleeping, make sure you sleeping. That's just how you.
Yeah, that's how I've been getting my. That's how I've been getting my.
yeah.
I get for 30 minutes sleep here, 20 minutes sleep there. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah. So, well, thank you.
No problem. But
All
you know,
right.
don't be afraid to listen to them grandmas and them great because they we know what they're
Yeah,
talking about. I'm
we're
telling you.
trying. We're trying.
They've
We're
been doing it
trying.
before we had pediatricians.
I know. I know. I know. We're trying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Have a
it's
good
weird 'cause it depends on pediatrician too. Like I said, I had my second daughter, her pediatrician, she was more from the old school, and she was like, "Ain't nothing wrong with it." She said, but she told me the reason why pediatricians recommend it because they're not sure if you're going to get the baby the right amount, and they can mess with their track. But you know, you get the hang of it. It after a while, you get a routine down with him, you'll be okay. So, but y'all have a good day.
Yeah. You
All
too.
right.
Thank you. Thank you,
Mhm.
guys. All right. Bye. Mr. Henry, you can join. Then Kilby. I'll message you once I'm done with Mr. Henry because it was first. I'll message you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. No problem. Bye. So, Mr. Henry, once I hang up, you can join right after.
So.
Okay.